If you can have the mouthpiece closer, sorry, if you can have the microphone closer, that way might
Yes,
be better.
like
Yes,
this.
thank you.
Okay. A, the updated version of the article of association was only finalized and reviewed by a lawyer on August
If you
1st.
can have the mouthpiece closer, sorry, if you can have the microphone closer, that way might
Yes,
be better.
like
Yes,
this.
thank you.
Okay. Okay. A, the updated version of the article of association was only finalized and reviewed by a lawyer on August
If you
1st.
can have the mouthpiece closer, sorry, if you can have the microphone closer, that way might be better.
Like
Yes,
this.
thank you.
Okay. A, the updated version of the article of association was only finalized and reviewed by a lawyer on August 1st. I tried like this. Okay. The updated version of the article of association was only finalized and reviewed by a lawyer on August 1st, after the usual deadline. That's why we couldn't submit the change earlier. Try like this. Okay. The updated version of the article of association was only finalized and reviewed by a lawyer on August 1st, after the usual deadline.
Apologies,
That's
FMS
why we
Taiwan
couldn't
will
submit
look
the
into
change
this
earlier.
and will let you know in a minute.
Okay. The updated version of the article of association was only finalized and reviewed by a lawyer on August 1st, after the usual deadline.
Apologies,
That's
FMS
why we
Taiwan
couldn't
will
submit
look
the
into
change
this
earlier.
and will let you know in a minute.
Okay. Hello? Am I audible now? Okay, let's go. The updated version of the article of association was only finalized and reviewed by a lawyer on August 4th, after the usual deadline. That's why we couldn't submit the changes earlier. B, these changes are legally important. If we don't suspend the bylaws paragraph, the General Assembly won't be able to vote on this amendment, even though they are needed for legal reasons. C, by suspending bylaws paragraph 114, the GA can vote on the amendment now. This lets IFMSA stay legally compliant and up to date as an organization in Netherlands.
Thank you very much, FMS Taiwan. Do we have a seconder for this motion? LIMSA Lithuania. Since this is a procedural motion, we'll directly proceed to a vote. The vote is open. Please cast your vote. Yes, point of order. Sorry?
Informal vote number 3 is still open on Nima
Yes,
vote.
that's absolutely fine. It is an informal vote, so it shouldn't be a problem. Thank you very much. Oh, well, Seeming's worst nightmares already happened. Um, so we are closing the vote. So we have received 59 votes in total, 53 in favor, 3 against, and 3 abstentions. This motion passes with 2/3 majority. CCC, can you please elaborate on the consequences?
Pascal, CCC, we can now vote on all constitutional change proposals that have been submitted on time but have been changed since then.
Thank you very much, CCC.
So we have received another procedural motion, number 14, which reads to suspend bylaws Annex 1, August meeting table paragraph 1.10 until the end of the 74th General Assembly, August meeting 2025, proposed by Denon Brazil and FMS Taiwan. Do you want to explain?
Am I audible now? Thank you. The finalized and legalized review version was made available after the Constitution change submission deadline of May 1st and sharing deadline of May 8th set in the bylaw Annex 1, August meeting table paragraph 110. B. Without suspending bylaw Annex 1, August meeting table paragraph 110. The General Assembly would be unable to vote on important and legally necessary amendment to the Constitution 808. This could lead to misalignment between IFMSA governing document and its legal obligation under Dutch law. C. Suspending this paragraph allowed the General Assembly to review and adopt amendments based on the legalized Article of Association during this meeting. It ensures that IFMSA remains legally compliant, up to date, and capable of fulfilling its responsibilities as a Dutch registered international association.
Thank you very much. Do we have a seconder for this procedural motion? IFMSA Serbia. CCC, can you share an explanation of the consequence of passing or failing of the motion?
If this procedural motion passes, we will be able to vote on the constitution change proposal by the IFMSA TO.
Thank you very much. We now proceed to a vote, which you can now find on Nemo Vote. Please log on to Nemo Vote and cast your vote. We will now close the vote. Technical issues? Okay. Can somebody please assist IFMSA Joe? Anybody else with technical issues? Okay. We'll wait. We have confirmation that the technical issues have been resolved, so we will close the vote. We received 65 votes on this, so quorum for the next motion is high. Of those, there's 62 in favor, 2 against, and 1 abstention, meaning this motion passes 2/3 majority. We can now go on to the constitutional change proposals since they are valid, right? CCC? These CCPs are valid now. We can move on. Perfect. And we have a request for a speakers list from the IFMSA president. Is there anybody else who wants to join on the speakers list? I do not see anybody who wishes to go on the speakers list, so IFMSA president, you have the word.
Dear Nemos and IFMSA family, at the August meeting 2024 in Tampere, Finland, the General Assembly took an essential decision to relocate the legal seat of the IFMSA from Copenhagen to Amsterdam. This was not merely a geographic shift, it revealed a critical legal and structural gap, or Articles of Association, last updated in 2004. For over 20 years, while the Federation evolved, expanded, and addressed complex global challenges, its core legal foundation remained outdated. This disconnect meant that crucial aspects of our governance, such as the recognition of voting rights of associate members, the use of electronic tools for participation and voting, mechanisms for financial and managerial oversight, were not formally or lawfully grounded in our governing documents. This amendment process is not just a procedural formality, it's a necessary act of legal restoration and institutional responsibility. Specifically, this amendment will modernize our articles in line with Dutch civil law for associations, legally grant voting rights to associate members, allow for online participation and electronic voting, extend legal accountability, manage finance and internal control. In line with the IFMSA Constitution and bylaws, such amendments can only be adopted during an August meeting. This reform is the result of over 8 months of legal consultation involving extensive email correspondence, virtual meetings, hundreds of follow-up questions, and a full Dutch legal and linguistic review. We have worked hand in hand with ELA Piper, a leading Dutch law firm, and their notarial experts to ensure compliance with national law and consistent with the unique needs of our federation. This process has been far from easy. At every step, new legal and procedural challenges arose. It was never my intention, or the intention of the Executive Board, to exclude or limit anyone's participation. Personally, I have invested significant time and energy into this reform, and it has been one of the top priorities of the term. Throughout this journey, our guiding principle has always been inclusion, not exclusion. Every proposed change has been carefully shaped through a detailed legal translation of IFMSA complex organizational reality, a reality that has long outgrown the framework of 2004. This amendment is not merely a legal update, it is a long-delayed alignment between who we are and how we are governed now. Let us move forward together, legally sound, institutionally stronger, and more united than ever.
Thank you very much, IFMSA President. Then we move on to motion number 122. This motion reads, to amend the IFMSA's Articles of Association according to the draft of the deed drawn up by DLA Piper, Netherlands NV at Amsterdam with reference to a code, English translation with reference to another code, which draft is known to the General Assembly. This is proposed by IFMSA Executive Board. You can look up the codes right here. It was also aligned out in the mails as sent by the IFMSA Executive Board. Do we have a proposal? Do you want to explain?
Yes. This motion proposes the formal adoption of the revised Articles of Association of the IFMSA. The current articles dating back to 2004 are outdated and no longer reflect the organizational, legal, and operational reality of the Federation. IFMSA has worked with DLA Piper, has closely worked with DLA Piper to review and revise the articles in line with Dutch civil law and the current functioning of the IFMSA.
Thank you for that explanation. Do we have a seconder? IFMSA Chile. Do we have an amendment to the motion?
Yes, to add after draft of the deed, version as shared on August 5th, 2025.
Do you accept your own amendment? Nice. Does the seconder accept the amendment? Very nice. Do we have direct negatives on this? So we have a direct negative by Anam Portugal. Do you want to explain? Do we have an alternative motion? No, we don't. Now, before we proceed to the vote, please everybody log on to NemoVote, because we need to do a roll call, or well, I need to take the attendance of everybody in the room as well as in the Zoom in order to proceed. So please log on to NemoVote. If you are on a tablet or anything, then please go specifically to the tab where you opened NemoVote, because otherwise it doesn't show up in my list if you like go on another tab. So please have NemoVote open right in front of you. Thank you very much. We have a lot of people attending this plenary in particular, so we will now open the vote. Please log on to NemoVote again. I've seen that some of you already Yeah, already went out of it, logged out of it. So please log on again and cast your vote on the motion number 122. If there's anyone facing technical issues, please raise your voting card if you're in the room, or do anything else to get our attention in the Zoom. This is a very important decision we are taking, so please mind to cast your vote. We received 60 votes already. The roll call had 68 people or NMOs present, so please log on and cast your vote. We are closing the vote in 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The vote is closed. In the very end, we got 63 votes in total, 61 in favor, 0 against, 2 abstentions. This motion passes absolute majority. Thank you very much. Okay, this also passes 2/3 majority, by the way. Thank you very much. So we move on to the next regular motion, which is the motion 123. I don't see any points of information or request for speakers list on this, so I read it and thus enter the motion maze. The motion reads to authorize every candidate, civil law notary, notarial employee, and attorney at law of DLA Paper Netherlands NV in Amsterdam, acting jointly as well as separately, to execute the aforementioned notarial deed of amendment. It is proposed by the IFMSA Executive Board. Do you want to explain?
Under IFMSA President Hihim, under Dutch law, the amendment of articles of association must be executed by a notarial deed before a Dutch civil law notary. This motion grants the necessary legal authority, power of attorney, to DLA Piper Netherlands NV to formally execute the notarial deed that amends the articles of association as approved by the General Assembly in the previous motion.
Thank you very much. Do we have a seconder for this motion? Okay, IFMSA NL. Do we have an amendment to this motion? I cannot see that. Do we have a direct negative to this motion? Do we have a direct negative to this motion? We don't, so this motion passes nemo contra.
Okay, so tech support, we'll have a 1 minute break. No one leaves. Can we mute ourselves on YouTube and Zoom? Thank you very much. So we'll have a 5 minute break and then we'll resume the plenary.
A short announcement, everyone. We lost a blue swimsuit jacket and a small tote bag with a lot of chocolates in it. So if you find it, you will be bribed with chocolate, but we need the chocolate. That's basically it. Thank you.
Hi. Hola. Can I have your attention for a second, please? Or a minute? So we're going to have some changes in tomorrow's agenda in president sessions. So we are going to start with a session of 40 minutes on the IFMSA EDI declaration. So please check the document, make your inputs there, add your comments so we can have a discussion there. If you have already some prepared questions, you can submit them to the questions for submissions form. Then we will have 15 minutes for an open space discussion requested by Alem Luxembourg. And we're going to have 30 minutes for the CC final report. After that, we will have the financial committee report for 40 minutes of presentation and 15 minutes each of questions. So if you have already questions, please submit them so we can make it quick. After that, we will have the executive board elect session. And after that, we will have 30 minutes on the IFMSA March meeting 2026, which will be focused on two main topics related to the fees and related to the sponsorship. So if you already have any idea on questions or inputs or recommendations that you would like to do for these sessions, please submit them to the questions for submissions form. I will send again these through email, but be mindful to be here on time because I know the plenary today, I don't want to ruin it, but I think it will be ending earlier than the last 2 days. So please get some rest and get on time to the president sessions. And don't forget to bring your flags and everything that you want to use for the last plenary, the last session of president sessions for this term, because we're going to take the final picture together. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, IFMSA VPM. And we're now officially back. If you left the room and you need your voting card back, please reach out to the CCC. We are starting. Our next agenda point is so our next agenda point is the adoption of the reports of the relevant officials on the grants and events that commit IFMSA. We received one regular motion from the IFMSA team of officials that reads, to adopt the report on the IFMSA commitments written for the 74th General Assembly August meeting 2025, proposed by the IFMSA TO. IFMSA TO, would you like to explain?
Angelo, IFMSA President, him. This report summarizes the commitment of the IFMSA with their external partners and the responsibilities that the IFMSA and their officials need to fulfill with them.
Thank you very much, IFMSA TO. Do we have a seconder? IMCC Denmark. Do we have any amendments? No amendments. Do we have a direct negative? No direct negative. This motion passes nemo contra. We then have a procedural motion. The procedural motion reads to change the agenda by moving the agenda items adoption and changes to the IFMC policies and adoption of changes of status of national member organizations and admission of new national member organizations in this order to the beginning of plenary 5. CCC, can you confirm the validity of this procedural motion? Sorry, plenary 6? Sorry, it says plenary 6. Thank you, CCC, for your confirmation. IFMSA Executive Board, would you like to explain?
We are proposing this change to the agenda to have more time for the long expected plenary of today to give well-deserved rest for the presidents compared to other plenaries, and finally to align all the motions related to membership to the plenary 6.
Thank you very much, IFMSA Executive Board. Do we have a seconder? MF Mexico, is it? Yes. So, since this is a procedural motion, we'll proceed directly to a vote. Vice Chairperson will let you know when the vote is open.
The vote is open. Please log on to Nemo Vote and cast your votes. Dear NMOs, since we had a huge participation in the last votes, that means that our quorum for the current vote is pretty high. So please log on to Nemo Vote, cast your vote, because we need 75% of the number of votes that we received in the previous motion. You have 10 seconds to cast your vote. Three, two, one. We received 56 votes in total, 48 in favor, 4 against, and 4 abstentions. This motion passes 2/3 majority.
Okay. Once again, can we please have silence in the room? Animals joining online, can you please confirm that you can read now? I'm sorry, we're trying our best to find the middle ground because here in the room, there are some animals who are unable to see the slides unless it's too big. And we know that probably it affects your internet, like it affects how it's displayed on Zoom. So I hope this is okay. Okay, I see some yeses, thank you. So next we have a procedural motion submitted to suspend bylaws. I already received the request to open a speakers list beforehand. I have Anne in Portugal there. IFMSA Spain. Sorry, Anne in Portugal or IFMSA Spain or both? IFMSA Spain. Anyone else? Okay. Let's get them a microphone. Yeah? It's about TAF.
This is the one we don't want.
Then IFMSA Algeria and Lemsek Lebanon together, or IFMSA Algeria. Perfect. Whenever you're ready. Yes, point of information from Kazamsa, Kazakhstan.
You said this is the point about the motion about the TAF, but as I'm not really sure if the number of paragraph. I mean, I don't know if it's procedural is from us or not.
No, it is clearly proposed by MMSA Malta and IFMSA
Okay.
Algeria.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll try to also have some slides indicating the theme of the procedural motion so that NMOs are able to understand better. Then IFMSA Algeria, the floor is yours.
Alauddin Hihim, IFMSA Algeria speaking. Dear animals, my name is Alauddin Bouddin, TAF awardee and head of delegation for IFMSA Algeria. Although I arrived on the second day to the August meeting due to visa delays, I want to begin by thanking you for giving me the space to address you today. Let me be clear, we're not in favor of just casually suspending motions. IFMSA is a federation built on strong processes, and we respect that. But sometimes, the purpose of those processes must be re-examined, especially when they risk leaving someone behind. Due to visa constraints far beyond my control, my physical arrival was delayed. I remained actively engaged online until I could join in person. But because I wasn't physically present on day one, I was disqualified from receiving the tough support I have been granted. We know that suspending motion is not ideal, but we also know this. IFMSA's strength does not come from following rules blindly. It comes from knowing when to pause, reflect, and make space for fairness. This isn't just about me. It's about every delegate who faces systemic barriers like visa injustice. It's about building a federation where access is based on commitment, not geography. Suspending motions should never be taken lightly, but neither should they leave the realities of those we claim to represent. Thank you for your understanding and for choosing compassion as baseline of our work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, IFMSA Algeria. I believe we are ready to proceed with the procedural motion. CCC, can you confirm the validity, please? Thank you, CCC. Procedural motion number 16 reads to suspend bylaws paragraph 10.28H until the end of the 74th General Assembly August meeting 2025, proposed by MMSA Malta and IFMSA Algeria. Since this is a procedure to suspend bylaws, I think you do not have any options but to explain. So MMSA Malta will give you a microphone.
Ruby Shraha Camilleri, MMSA Malta. We are proposing the temporary suspension of bylaws paragraph 20.9H for the following reasons. The visa constraint was absolute and documented. The TAF recipient, Alauddin Bouddin, was only granted a visa starting on August 2nd, making physical attendance on day one of the meeting legally and logistically impossible. Despite this, the delegate remained actively engaged online and arranged travel to arrive in person at the earliest moment allowed by the visa. The delegate did everything within their power. Allah followed every necessary step to secure a timely visa, including navigating a complex and delayed embassy process. When participation depends not on internet but on access, it is necessary that our mechanisms, especially TAF, remain accessible to those who rely on them most. Suspending this bylaw allows IFMSA to uphold its commitment to equity and meaningful participation. This motion restores fairness without undermining policy. By temporarily suspending this paragraph, Alauddin Bouddin becomes eligible to receive the TAF support that was rightfully awarded. This sets a precedent not of bending rules, but of applying them with integrity, context, and compassion, especially when systemic barriers are at play.
Thank you very much, MMSA Malta. Since this is a procedural motion, we'll ask for a seconder and then we'll open the vote. So do we have a seconder? Metzgerman. The vote is now open. Please cast your votes. We have 40 votes. Please cast your votes. We'll close the vote in 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we received 54 votes in total, 51 in favor, 3 against, and 0 abstentions. This motion passes with 2/3 majority. CCC, can you please confirm the consequences of the adoption or the passing of this motion?
The aforementioned delegate is now applicable for the Travel Assistance Fund. Also, we would appreciate it if delegates do not clap for the suspension of bylaws. Thank you.
Thank you very much, CCC. Then we'll proceed to another procedural motion submitted by Kazamsa Kazakhstan and AMSB Bulgaria to suspend bylaws paragraph 10.29H. I received a request for a speakers list. We already have Anne in Portugal / IFMSA Spain, whoever confirms. IFMSA Spain, so okay. And Kazamsa Kazakhstan. Since Kazamsa is the proposer of the next motion, then we will let them go last. Subco. Just a 1 minute technical break. Yes, thank you, Subco. Thank you, CCC. Just a typo. It was suspend 3.87. Thank you very much. Okay, so IFMSA Spain, the floor is yours.
Pedro, FMSA Spain, him. This statement is on behalf of Andem Portugal, Sensa Cyprus, Lindsay Lithuania, FMSA Czech Republic, BDN Germany, Austria, FMSA Spain, ex-Catalonia, Sensa Switzerland. Dear NMOs, we would like to remind you that the Constitution and bylaws as our highest regulatory document should be treated with respect. Suspending bylaws should not be a common practice, but rather an exceptional procedure. We believe we shouldn't use bylaw suspension as a solution for the problems, but rather reflect the possible changes as the bylaws we deem we have at quorum. We would like to urge NMOs to reflect on this and refrain from the unnecessary bylaw suspensions. We are leaving you with an inspirational quote with one of our predecessors. Every time there is a problem, we should suspend bylaws, and we should stop doing that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, IFMSA Spain, Kazamsa Kazakhstan.
Can I start? Okay. Dear NMOs, we would like to clarify the situation concerning the validity of our candidacy for hosting the 75th General Assembly August meeting 2026. As already indicated, our candidacy was ruled invalid due to the violation of bylaws paragraph 3.87. Specifically, the preliminary report states that our presentation did not include projections for the Travel Assistance Fund. When preparing and submitting our candidacy, we invested significant significant effort and carefully considered all the relevant bylaws concerning the organization of the GA. After almost a year of work, we have achieved a great deal and strive to provide the most comprehensive information possible to ensure that you would feel confident the next August meeting can be held in accordance with the regulations. Unfortunately, we were not able to verbally present the information regarding the Travel Assistance Fund during the presentation. However, it was taken into account during the preparation of the presentation and included into presentation slides. You can find more detailed information in the email previously shared on the NMO server. We understand that suspension of the bylaws is not a desirable solution. However, in our case, it's the only possible way to address the issue of our candidacy's validity.
Thank you. Your time is up.
Thank you so much.
Please remember to send your statements. Sorry, you can clap first. Okay, yes, remember to send your statements on the NMO server as well as to the secretary team. So let's read the procedural motion to suspend bylaws paragraph 3.87 until the end of the 74th IFMSA General Assembly August meeting 2025, proposed by Kazamsa Kazakhstan and AMSB Bulgaria. Since this is a procedural motion to suspend bylaws, the question is which NMO would like to explain? Okay, can we give them the microphone, returning officer? Can we give Kazamsa the microphone? Can we give Kazamsa the microphone?
Yeah. First of all, I would like to explain what, I mean, in the statement already, it was a little bit of explained. As the thing was about the travel assistance fund. Due to the time limitation and that we were not looking at the clock, or there was no any kind of time warnings during the presentation, and we were trying to explain everything as good as possible, as detailed as possible. So that's why we run out of time, and we're not able to like verbally present the travel assistance fund. We were thinking about if it could be overruled about the interpretation, but unfortunately, that was, I think, our mistake, that we interpreted the word presentation as the presentation slides, not the verbal presentation. And there is also, in the same paragraph, there is another thing about the reservation agreement. The thing is, it's written that there should be the reservation agreement. We were not sure if the commercial agreement is valid, so that's why we included this into the explanation. The thing is that unfortunately in Kazakhstan, to do the reservation agreement, we have to do a very big prepayment for 2,000 people that we already shared with you, so which is not really possible without the sponsorship provided, and when we do not really know if we will be elected as a host. Yeah, I think that's the point. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much, Kazamsa Kazakhstan. Do we have a seconder for this motion? Krumse Croatia. Since this is a procedural motion, we'll proceed directly to the vote. We'll let you know when the vote is open. The vote is now open. We're closing in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we received a total of 53 votes. 46 in total, 5 against, and 2 abstentions. Again, 46 in total, 5 against, and 2 abstentions. This motion passes with 2/3 majority. IFMSA, is this a point of information? Point of order?
Hi, gentlemen. IFMSA, she here. You said 46 in total, 5 against, 2 abstention. How many in favor is it?
Yes, sorry, so 46 in favor. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, IFMSA, for your point of order, because we realized that we were actually reading the wrong results. So we received 60 votes in total, 6-0. 44 in favor, 15 against, and 1 abstention. The motion still passes with a 2/3 majority. And again, let's try not to clap for bylaw suspension. At least let's try. CCC, can you please give us a point of information on the consequences of the passing of this motion?
Yes, as this procedural motion passed, we suspended the bylaws paragraph 3.87, and now the Kazakhstan candidature to host August meeting 2026 is valid.
Thank you, CCC. Then we'll have the procedural motion by IFMSA Peru and Bohemia Bosnia and Herzegovina to suspend bylaws paragraph 3.80a. I also received a request for a speakers list. And in Portugal, does anyone else want to be on the speakers list? Yes. IFMSA Peru. Anyone? IFMSA Egypt. Anyone else? Okay, and in Portugal?
Catarina Cardoso, she, her, and in Portugal. This is a statement on behalf of and in Portugal, SIMSA Cyprus, LIMSA Lithuania, IFMSA Czech Republic, BVMD Germany, HAMSA Austria, IFMSA Spain, AIX Catalonia, SIMSA Switzerland. Dear NMOs, we would like to remind you that the Constitution and bylaws are our highest regulatory document and should be treated with respect. Suspending bylaws should not be a common practice, but rather an exceptional procedure. We believe we wouldn't use bylaw suspension as a solution for the problems, but rather reflect the possible changes of the bylaws we deem we have outgrown. We would like to urge NMOs to reflect on this and refrain from unnecessary bylaw suspensions. We are leaving you with an inspirational quote with one of our predecessors. Every time there's a problem, we suspend the bylaw, and we should stop doing that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And in Portugal, IFMSA Peru.
Dear NMOs, this is a statement on behalf of IFMSA Peru. We acknowledge that suspending the bylaws is a practice we should not usually contemplate. However, during the presentations of the candidatures for RD Americas, we witnessed the remarkable growth of our region, especially in the increased involvement and motivation of our members. As we listened to the presentations, we saw the passion and commitment in each candidate, not only in how they shared their ideas, but also in how they responded to questions. In light of this, and recognizing the value these candidates bring to our region, passing the following motions will allow Mia Milicevic and Sofia Cuva to participate in the elections for RD Americas. At the same time, this moment serves as a call for reflection. For future elections, it is important to ensure that the bylaws avoid creating false expectations by allowing applicants to run without a real opportunity to be elected.
Thank you very much, IFMSA Peru. IFMSA Egypt.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, Ismaili, him, IFMSA Egypt. Dear NMOs, this statement is on behalf of IFMSA Egypt and concerning the invalidity of some candidates for the IFMSA TO. Preparing a candidature for the IFMSA TO is such a demanding process, with the preparation evolving around the candidates to finalize their AFs, a process any one of us has been through, nationally or internationally. Acknowledging its complexity, this process compiles full years of involvement of those candidates, the years they spent within IFMSA chambers, volunteering, learning, sharing experiences, and more beyond. Bylaws exist to safeguard the integrity of our processes. However, bylaws also include mechanisms for suspension or amendment for a reason, because
I'm sorry.
sometimes extraordinary circumstances demand flexibility to protect the organization.
There are some
What?
animals in the room who are
Yes.
able to hear you. So before we make any changes, I
Okay.
was able to hear you. So is it only the issue of the animals at the back of the room, or okay, animals like IFMC Algeria, Lamsik, were you able to hear? Okay, so yes, let's increase the volume on the in the room itself. Again, sorry, IFMC Egypt, can you please start from the start? Apologies.
It's totally okay. Just change the microphone as well. Okay. Am I audible now?
Yes, loud and clear.
Dear NMOs, this statement is on behalf of IFMS Egypt and concerning the validity of some candidates for the IFMC TO. Preparing a condition for the IFMC TO is such a demanding process, with the preparation evolving around the candidates to finalize their AFs, a process any one of us has been through, either nationally or internationally. Acknowledging its complexity, this process compiles full years of involvement of those candidates, the years they spent within IFMC chambers, volunteering, learning, sharing experiences, and more beyond. Bylaws exist to safeguard the integrity of our processes. However, bylaws also include mechanisms for suspension or amendment for a reason, because sometimes extraordinary circumstances demand flexibility to protect the organization's greater interest. In this case, our intention is not to set a precedent or by passing rules whenever convenient, but to address a unique situation, restrict adherence would unfairly limit participation and harm the democratic spirit of our election. Nevertheless, the GA decides upon the regulatory documents to utilize them for best interests to validate the following candidates. Zainuddin al-Miqati, a SCOF-D candidate supported by IFMC Egypt, unfortunately missed out on upholding the CF via the July 1st submissions form. However, he sent the CF immediately after the deadline to the General Assembly, to General Secretariat. We believe that he deserves the opportunity to have his candidacy seen by the NMOs and voted upon. Ihab, an RD-EMR candidate who is currently serving as a PIMSA Palestine NMOP, is an inspiring soul who, despite the ongoing war in Gaza Strip for almost 2 years, has always been engaging with NMOs and the EMR, powerfully leading his NMO. We call upon NMOs to help them get the fair election and chance, and to have those candidates valid and any similar ones, providing them an opportunity despite technical issues. Finally, let NMOs make a choice rather than stripping them the chance and NMOs the choice. Thank you.
Thank you very much, IFMSA Egypt, IFMSA Subco.
Mati him on behalf of IFMSA Subco. So bylaw paragraph that is just tabled for suspension is about having CF signed by the NMO president. So this is actually putting the liability for the potential damage done to the federation on the NMO. And we are, as Subco, strongly recommending not to vote in favor of this suspension. And we would also like to ask CCC what would be the consequences and who would be liable for the damage done by the candidate if this is suspended. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Subco. IFMSA CCC, please discuss and let us know. Yes, so IFMSA Subco is worried and concerned about the liability, the liability and damages made by the candidate in case the CF is no longer required.
Hi, this is Janta Data from CCC. As 3.81 is not suspended, it still states that a signed CF leads for liability for the NMO. So in that case, we do not agree with that. And a signed CF does still have the responsibility of liability by the NMO.
Then can you please explain the specific consequences of the passing of this motion? So if it passes, what does it mean? Does it only address the deadline? Does it only address the CF?
Okay, wait.
Okay, sorry. The consequence is that a valid CF is no longer a requirement for a valid candidature. So a candidature can be valid without having a valid CF. That was sent within the deadline, blah, 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 blah.
So now a follow-up question from my side. If a valid CF is no longer a requirement, how can an NMO still be held liable?
Because 3.81 still says that a signed CF has the consequence of having liability, and 3.81 is suspended. So if there is still a CF signed, then that still exists and therefore holds liability.
Yes, point of information from SAPCO. Is it a point of information from IFMSA Spain and in Portugal as well, or is it a request for a speakers list? Sorry? Point of order. Can we give them the microphone? Guys, I'm not sure why people are moving across the room and speaking. Please, let's make sure that we're all silent. Can we first give the microphone to, and in Portugal because of the point of order?
Sorry, Catarina Cardoso here, and in Portugal. So does that mean that suspending this bylaw would mean that all of the candidatures that were deemed invalid because the signed CF did not correspond to the original NMO of the person, or that the CF that was submitted was invalid, are then valid, and all of the CCC rulings would now change?
Hi. The CCC rulings will not change, but indeed, you no longer require that CF to have a valid candidature. So only like the ruling, or well, the ruling of the candidature being valid or invalid could change based on that suspension.
IFMSA SAPCO, or IFMSA SAPCO and then IFMSA EB. No, President.
Thank you, CCC. So my question is, what is with the CFs who were submitted late, as they're not considered official submissions to the GS, so they do not exist. So these candidates are then the candidates without CF. Who is liable for them?
I think you answered your own question. I don't see a question in this question. Can you please repeat the question, Bart? This was not meant as an attack. I'm genuinely trying to understand what the question is.
So the question is, who will be liable for the candidates without CF if any harm is done from them to the federation?
Not specified in the bylaws.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll give, this is how we're going to do it. We'll give the floor to the IFMSA president, and then we'll take a technical break for 2 minutes where I will discuss with the CCC and SAPCO as well as EB.
And the law IFMSA president, the 3.80A said a corrected version of this document may be submitted according to paragraph 9.5. However, the NMO support needs to be apparent by the original deadline. That means that candidates can change also the CF and change like the support from another NMO.
Okay, the technical break. SAPCO, EB, please meet me at the CCC table. RD Europe, please join us as well. Hello, everyone. Can I have your attention, please? Okay, can I have everyone's attention? Oh, okay. Thank you very much. So I received multiple requests for technical breaks for different reasons, and I find all these reasons valid. So what I'm going to do is to give everyone a break for 15 minutes or 13 minutes. So we should all be back at 10:30. Okay? We should all be back at 10:30. If you choose to leave the room, please make sure that you give your voting card to the CCC.
To all the people in the Zoom as well as in person, since issues have not been resolved, we extend the break for another some minutes, but please be back in time. Oh, the break is over. Please take back your seats. I know you have probably some very interesting things to speak about, but I think the socials would be the better place to do this. Yeah, that's the point. We are trying to make socials happen. Please take your seats. The break is officially over, so please distribute yourselves along the seating order that you chose, by the way. So in case you haven't already, please pick up your voting cards again so that we can proceed with the plenary. Here you go.
Okay. So, IFMSA CCC, would you like to provide the conclusion of our discussion regarding the consequences of not having a valid CF or specifically suspending this bylaws paragraph?
The consequence of this is that no candidature form is required for a candidature. This would mean that Sophia's and Zane's candidature would be deemed valid.
Yes, we'll open a speakers list. Who would like to be added on the speakers list? EB elect. Anyone else? Yes. IFMSA Subco, IFMSA Executive Board. And in Portugal, IFMSA Executive Board elect, please proceed. Everyone else, please remain silent.
Dear NMOs, as Executive Board elect, we express our significant concerns to propose suspension of bylaws requiring the submission of a candidature for the team of officials candidates. This requirement is a fundamental accountability mechanism. It ensures that each candidate is formally endorsed by their national member organization, affirming that the NMO is aware of the candidacy and willing to share responsibility for the candidate's actions if elected. This link is crucial to maintain legitimacy, transparency, legality, and shared accountability within our federation. We must reflect on the institutional memory of the Federation, which includes several instances where officials have violated the IFMSA Constitution and bylaws, engaged in behavior like potentially illegal consequences for the Federation, or contributed to unresolved financial liabilities. These moments have led lasting into operational and financial damages. They demonstrate the real and tangible risks of weakening or bypassing our accountability mechanisms when no one can be held accountable for the actions of officials. Removing the requirement for a candidature form sets a dangerous precedent, undermining the Federation's governance structures and creating ambiguity around responsibility. More critically, in the absence of valid candidature form, liability of the official's actions will fall directly on the Executive Board and Supervising Council as the legal register representatives, placing an unfair and not sustainable burden on our team. We therefore strongly recommend against suspending this bylaw and urge the General Assembly to uphold the essential safeguard for the integrity and stability of our Federation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, IFMSA Executive Board elect, IFMSA Subco.
Fair IFMSA Subco here. So we want to go with a very short statement here that if you suspend this bylaws, it means that for some candidates, we won't have any liability if they got elected. And this puts everyone in a very weird situation next year and very dangerous for IFMSA. So we want to ask NMOs to withdraw this. And if they don't do this, we want to strongly ask all NMOs to do and have a minimum level of accountability toward IFMSA and not vote for this motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, IFMSA Subco, IFMSA EB.
IFMSA VPCV Melike She/Her on behalf of Executive Board. Dear IFMSA, we, the Executive Board, would like to share our concerns regarding the proposal to suspend the bylaw paragraph 3.8.a, which requires that all candidatures for IFMSA officials include a signed and stamped candidature form by NMO. This paragraph was not arbitrarily created. It exists to protect the Federation, ensure accountability, and ensure NMO liability for damages to the IFMSA caused by actions of elected officials. The explicit confirmation of support from the NMO is a fundamental safeguard in our structure, ensuring that candidates are acting with the endorsement and awareness of their respective organizations. At this point, we are not fully certain about the legal and procedural liability that might arise from suspending this paragraph. However, we believe it is our responsibility to voice our concern regarding the potential implications of setting such a precedent. Unilaterally, suspending this clause without clear and transparent consultation may weaken the integrity of our process. We recognize that operational challenges can occur, but we emphasize the importance of consistent adherence to our governing documents, particularly during processes as sensitive and foundational as the election of officials. Exceptions to these rules should be treated with the utmost caution and involve meaningful consultation and reflection. Thank you, Executive Board.
Thank you very much, IFMSA Executive Board. Before we proceed with the rest of the procedural, with the rest of the speakers list, I would like to clarify that the NMOs already approached the plenary team and confirmed that they would like to withdraw this motion. They were already open to discussing alternatives that could help them make the candidature of their candidate valid. So thank you very much for your flexibility. We'll proceed now with Anne in Portugal.
Thank you, Catarina Costa-Cardoso, she, her, and in Portugal. This is a statement on behalf of Anna in Portugal, IFMSA Spain, SIMSA Cyprus, LIMSA Lithuania, IFMSA Czech Republic, BVMD Germany, AMSA Austria, SIMSA Switzerland, and everyone else that raises their voting card. Dear NMOs, this statement is not only to remind you that the Constitution and bylaws, as our highly regulatory document, should be treated with respect. It is also to emphasize the utmost importance of credential forms as an essential document to ensure liability and responsibility, safeguarding IFMSA as a federation. This year, we have witnessed one of IFMSA officials being suspended by committing fraud and damaging the federation's image. CFs should never be granted lightly to any member, should they be candidates for EBTO, EBIT, PCs, and any other positions within our beloved federation. We do not want and will never encourage our members to put IFMSA at risk, to put the work of IFMSA at risk, risking losing our image and all the work we do, both within the federation and the international stage we fight so hard to be part of. Suspending bylaws should not be a common practice, but rather an exceptional procedure. We believe we shouldn't use bylaw suspension as a solution for the problems, but rather reflect the possible changes of the bylaws we deem we have outgrown. We want to urge NMOs to reflect on this and refrain from unnecessary bylaw suspension, especially when these put our federation at risk of severe legal consequences. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne in Portugal. So we proceed. Just one verbal confirmation from the proposers. Do you withdraw this motion? Thank you. Then we have a procedural motion also by IFMSA Peru and Bohemia Bosnia and Herzegovina to suspend Bylaws Annex 1. To suspend Bylaws Annex 1, August meeting table, paragraph 1.3. Are we proceeding with this? Thank you. So I received a request for a speakers list. Sorry? Point of information from VP. Okay, speakers list, executive board. Sorry? BVMD Germany. I think EB elect was first. No worries, so they will be last. BVMD Germany, and then we'll have executive board elect. Please proceed whenever you're ready.
All right, you guys know what's coming. This is a statement on behalf of Anna Portugal, SIMSA Cyprus, LIMSA Lithuania, IFMSA CZ Czech Republic, BVMD Germany, AMSA Austria, IFMSA Spain, Ex-Catalonia, and SIMSA Switzerland. Dear NMOs, we would like to remind you that the Constitution and bylaws as our highest regulatory document should be treated with respect. Suspending bylaws should not be a common practice, but rather an exceptional procedure. We believe we shouldn't use bylaw suspension as a solution for the problems, but rather reflect the possible changes of the bylaws we deem we have outgrown. We would like to urge NMOs to reflect on this and continue to, and refrain from unnecessary bylaw suspensions. We are leaving you with an inspirational quote of one of our predecessors: every time there is a problem, we should suspend the bylaws, and we should stop doing that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. BVMD Germany, Executive Board elect.
Dear NMOs, as Executive Board elect, we would like again to express our strong concerns regarding the proposed suspension of bylaw regarding the submission of candidature form of a team of officials candidates. This form is a core accountability mechanism that ensures candidates are endorsed by their NMOs, confirming both awareness of the candidacy and shared responsibility for the officials' actions. These safeguards upholds legitimacy, legality, and transparency in IFMSA. Institutional memory reminds us of past cases where officials without clear accountability have violated the IFMSA Constitution discretionary bylaws created legal risks or left behind financial liabilities. These instances caused lasting harm and highlight the dangers of weakening such protections and mechanisms. Removing this requirement sets a dangerous precedent. Without it, the legal and operational liability falls directly onto the Executive Board and Supervising Council, placing it under both burden. We therefore strongly recommend against the suspension of these bylaws, and we urge the General Assembly to uphold the essential safeguards for the integrity and sustainability of our Federation. Thank you.
Thank you, Executive Board-elect. IFMSA Peru, is this a point of information or would you like to be added to the speakers list? Okay, then can we give them a microphone?
Thank you. This is a statement on behalf of IFMSA Peru. Dear NMOs, we would like to reiterate that we acknowledge that suspending the bylaws is a practice that we should not usually contemplate. However, during the presentations of the candidatures for RD Americas, we witnessed the remarkable growth of our region, especially in the increased involvement and motivation of our members. As we listened to the presentations, we saw the passion and commitment in each candidate, not only in how they shared their ideas, but also in how they responded to questions. In light of this, and recognizing the value these candidates bring to our region, passing the following motion will allow Mia Milicevic and Sofia Cuba to participate in the elections for RD Americas. Suppressing this bylaw would not invalidate the CF, but would actually extend the deadline. So this would mean that the candidatures that were sent after the deadline would be deemed valid. At the same time, this moment serves as a call for reflection. For future elections, it is important to ensure that the bylaws avoid creating false expectations by allowing applicants to run without a real opportunity to be elected. Thank you.
Thank you very much, IFMSA Peru. And we proceed. IFMSA Peru and Bohemsa, can you please confirm that you would like us to proceed with this motion? Thank you. CCC, can you confirm the validity of the procedural motion? Thank you. So we have procedural motion number 19 that reads to suspend Bylaws Annex 1, August meeting table paragraph 1.3 of the IFMSA Constitution and Bylaws until the end of the 74th August meeting 2025 General Assembly. Proposed by Bohemsa, Bosnia and Herzegovina and IFMSA Peru. Because this is a procedural motion to suspend bylaws, one of you will have to explain. Can we get them the microphone? And also the NMO that will explain, please raise your voting cards.
Okay, so when applicant Mia Milicevic attempted to submit her application through the form, her computer stopped responding, and despite multiple updates and attempts, she was unable to complete the form in time. In the case of candidate Sofia Cuba, she did not find the way to upload the CF within the form, then it was mailed, but it arrived late. Lines violate the bylaws, suspending this annex would make their candidacy valid, and they will be able to participate in an election process after having submitted it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, IFMSA Peru. Do we have a seconder for this motion? Then in Brazil, since this is a procedural motion, we'll proceed directly with the vote. We'll let you know when the vote is open. Voting cards raised. Lamsik Lebanon, were you able to vote? Thank you. Anyone else who's struggling to vote? We still have an animal struggling to vote. Can we please help them out? All good with everyone? Okay. Anna, please keep your voting card raised so that we can approach you. IFMSA, can you please refresh? The vote is indeed open and we have quite a lot of votes. Paraguay, Iraq, please refresh your screens because everyone else can see the vote. We'll also double check if you are on the voters list or not. IFMSA Paraguay, I just received a point of information from CCC. You do not have voting rights until plenary 5. We're still in plenary 4, so that's why you cannot see the vote. Starting from plenary 5, you will have voting rights. IFMSA Iraq, are you still struggling with your connections? Again, IFMSA Iraq, please refresh. Make sure that you're logged into the correct cloud because there are multiple clouds. We will close the vote in 15 seconds. Yes, IFMSA LSR. Okay, so we need a moment here. IFMSA Iraq, I also received a point of information from CCC. You have voting rights starting from plenary 5. This is plenary 4, so you do not have voting rights at the moment. Okay, does anyone else, or I mean, are we still facing connection issues? Should we close the vote? Yes, Colombia, are you still struggling? Colombia, I would suggest that you restart your laptop because it's possible that's the problem. Or maybe a different device if you're doing it through your laptop. I suggest trying the phone. Also make sure that you're on the correct cloud. Can we please have silence in the plenary room? We are in the middle of a vote. Perfect, we have confirmation from Colombia, thank you. Let's close the vote. Okay, so we received 68 votes in total, 68 in total, 30 in favor, 28 against, and 10 abstentions. Once again, we received 68 in total, 30 in favor, 28 against, and 10 abstentions. This motion fails. Then we proceed with the procedural motion submitted by IFMSA Morocco and MMSA Malta to suspend bylaws paragraph 3.80c. MMSA Malta and IFMSA Morocco, can you confirm that you would like us to proceed with this motion? Can we get them the microphone? Can you raise your voting card so that the returning officer, yes, thank you.
Krista Kutaya, she, her, MMSA Malta. We are proposing the temporary suspension bylaws paragraph 3.80.c until the end of the 74th General Assembly August meeting 2025. Because of an oversight, a table of contents page was added to the template of the AF with no ill intentions or malice. It should be suspended because the candidate invested time and efforts into their candidature, presentation, and debate and should be eligible to run. In addition, NMOs should be given the choice to vote for them or not, especially when the violation was not major. By suspending this bylaws paragraph, Ihab El-Dada will be a valid candidate.
Thank you very much, MMSA Malta. Then CCC, can you confirm the validity of the motion? Thank you. Speakers list. Sorry? Before we move to give to the speakers list, CCC, can you please guide us on the consequences of the passing of this motion?
This motion, if adopted, would mean that candidatures do not need a motivation letter or plan of action or a CV. This is specifically about the candidature of EHUB. If this is adopted, EHUB's candidature would be valid.
Which position, can you please remind us?
I believe Regional Director for EMR, but I'm going to have to check. Yes, Regional Director for the Eastern Mediterranean region.
Thank you, CCC. So, do we need a speakers list? Okay, yes, we have a request for a speakers list. SWIMSA. Anyone else on the speakers list? Yes, IFMSA SUBCO. Okay. SWIMSA, please proceed.
This is a statement on behalf of SIMSA Switzerland, ANAM Portugal, SIMSA Cyprus, SIMSA Lithuania, IFMSA Czech Republic, BVMD Germany, AMSA Austria, and IFMSA Spain. Dear NMOs, we would like to remind you that the Constitution and bylaws, as our highest regulatory document, should be treated with respect. We would like to urge NMOs to reflect on this and refrain from unnecessary bylaw suspensions. As you note the quote, every time there is a problem, we suspend the bylaws, and we should stop doing that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, SWIMSA. IFMSA SUBCO.
Mati Hihim, IFMSA SUBCO. So suspending this bylaw paragraph would mean that a candidature without CVs and motivational letter would be valid, which we then don't see what we would be voting based on. So yeah, we are urging NMOs to think about the consequences of the motions they're submitting. Thank you.
Thank you, IFMSA SUBCO. Now I think we can safely proceed to read the motion itself. Procedural motion 20. Yes, IFMSA Morocco. Where is that? Is it a point of information? The speakers list was already closed. I will open another speakers list, but please from now on, let's try to stick to the same speakers list for the sake of time.
Point of information, I was raising my hand before, from the start.
Yes, so whenever there is a speakers list, you'll always see the names added on the slides.
Yes.
If you don't see your name there, then it means that I did not see you. Feel free to then use your flag and let me know. We'll give you the floor now, just this is for future incidents. Thank you. Please go ahead whenever you're ready.
This statement is on behalf of IFMSA Morocco, PIMSA Palestine, MESCO, Oman. By this point during the last August meeting, we had already concluded Plenary 5. Today we find ourselves still stuck in the same plenary for endless hours that we are paying for with our mental health and physical health. Yet we constantly speak about the needs for change, we acknowledge the issues, promise actions, yet years after year we fall into the same traps, endless motions, repetitive statements, and unnecessary delays. Everyone in this room is exhausted. Delegates didn't travel across continents just to sleep 5 hours over 3 days. This is not the experience we envisioned, not the environment we need to thrive and continue meaningfully. While we acknowledge the importance of the CC interpretation for procedural motions, taking lengthy breaks at every fork in the road, unnecessary drags on the plenary, we ask the plenary team to kindly keep the delegates' time in mind when taking technical breaks and weigh that against the importance and length of the interpretations. Let these words resonate with you. Let them be the final reminder that efficient action must follow reflection, because if we truly care about our members, our delegates, it starts by respecting their time, their well-being, and their presence. Thank you.
Thank you very much, IFMSA Morocco. Then we proceed to our procedural motion, which is number 20. The procedural motion reads to suspend bylaws paragraph 3.80.c until the end of the 74th General Assembly August meeting 2025, proposed by IFMSA Morocco and MMSA Malta, Since this is a procedural motion to suspend bylaws, we kindly ask one of you to explain. Who would like to explain?
Krista Kutaya, she, her, MMSA Malta. We are proposing the temporary suspension bylaws paragraph 3.80.c until the end of the 74th General Assembly August meeting 2025. Because of an oversight, a table of contents page was added to the template of the AF with no ill intentions or malice. It should be suspended because the candidate invested time and effort into their candidature, presentation, and debate and should be eligible to run. In addition, NMOs should be given the choice to vote for them or not, especially when the violation was not major. By suspending this bylaws paragraph, Ihab El Dada will be a valid candidate.
Thank you very much, MMSA Malta. Since this is a procedural motion, I'll proceed to ask for a seconder. Do we have a seconder for this motion? LMSA Libya. We'll proceed to a vote. We'll let you know when the vote is open. The vote is now open. You have 30 seconds. Okay, we're closing the vote. So we received 57 votes in total. 57, 26 in favor, 26 against, and 5 abstentions. This motion fails. Okay, so do we have any other procedural motions for today? I cannot find anything in the forum and I was not verbally informed. Who's that? Is that a voting card? Again, do we have any other procedural motions? Because this is almost the end of today's not today's. Again, I'm really sorry, just getting very tired here. This is the end of plenary 4. And then we'll have a break where you can consult with your with your delegates, and then we'll start the elections plenary. It is your right to submit procedural motions at any point, but I do think it is better for the democratic process of IFMSA that we do any procedural motion now before the break, so that if any changes take place, you have the time to discuss them thoroughly with your delegations. So I am going to ask for the last time, do we have any procedural motions that you would wish to propose at the moment? Okay, since we do not have any other procedural motions, I received the request for a speakers list, or actually two different speakers lists. There is one speakers list about Plenary 5 itself, and there is another speakers list about candidates. I will start with the speakers list about Plenary 5. We already have Plenary 4. We already have Lemsik Lebanon there. Does anyone else would like to be added to this speakers list? I don't see anyone else, so Lemsik Lebanon, the floor is yours.
Dear Animals, this statement is on behalf of Lemsik Lebanon, Matkoman, IFMSA Egypt, IFMSA Morocco, IFMSA Joe, Medicine Sudan, and in Portugal, then in Brazil, IFMSA Cyprus, LIMSA Lithuania, NMF France, PIMSA Palestine, BVMD Germany, IFMSA the Netherlands, IFMSA Algeria, IFMSA Brazil, SWIMSA Switzerland, IFMSA Sweden, IFMSA Quebec, ODEM Dominican Republic, IFMSA Chile, IFMSA Kurdistan, IMSB Bulgaria, ex-Catalonia. We just experienced a plenary that extended for over 20 hours, an experience that was not only entirely incompatible with any commitment to mental health and well-being, and frankly inhumane. We understand that decision-making takes time, and we're not here to assign blame, but it's critical to acknowledge that the issue was neither logistical shortcoming nor excessive chatter in the room. The true reason was the sheer volume of BCPs submitted, particularly by the team of officials. While we fully recognize that some of these proposals were urgent and needed timely adoption, the way they were introduced, clustered, last minute, and dense, showed a disconnect from the reality of our time constraints and from the actual experience of delegates. We've all been in this room long enough to know that BCPs are not simple yes or no items. Every proposal can trigger amendments, direct negatives, clarification, and that is the democratic right of every NMO. But it also means that submitting tens of dozens of these without internal alignment is not sustainable. The way our agenda was handled disregarded that reality and left many feeling voiceless, fatigued, and disconnected from a process that is supposed to empower them. More broadly, if every GA leads to dozens of bylaws amendments, then maybe it's time to ask, is it the federation that needs constant fixing, or is it the structure itself that needs reform? Our constitution and bylaws, while foundational, are also rigid, overly complex, and increasingly unfit for the kind of dynamic youth-led movement we claim to be. It's definitely time to revisit them holistically with legal consultation and inclusive reform, building in flexibility, accessibility, and clarity. This will significantly reduce the number of redundant and urgent BCPs, limit the need for constant suspension of the very rules we create, and free space up in our general assemblies for what truly matters, engaging with global health issues, empowering youth, and fostering regional and
Thank you. Your time is up. Please send your statement on the animal server. We'll close this speakers list and open another speakers list requested by IFMSA SUBCO regarding candidates. Does anyone else wish to be added to this speakers list? IFMSA SUBCO, the floor is yours.
Mati Perwan, he, him, IFMSA Supervising Council. Dear NMOs, you had the opportunity to hit candidatures for the team of officials and Supervising Council. We want to start by extending our heartfelt thank you to the candidates for their time and effort. To the NMOs, today you will be electing new leadership of the IFMSA. We want to emphasize the responsibility that lies before you to elect capable and competent leadership who will continue 74-year-old efforts of our federation. Over the past few years, IFMSA has been facing a number of challenges, many of which were accelerated by officials' malfunction in office, lack of understanding of operational procedures, and absence of relevant experience. This is taking a serious toll on the sustainability of the roles within Federation, mental health of officials, and the quality of work being done. Moreover, we believe that the problem of having underqualified and malfunctioning officials exacerbated by the tendency in IFMSA to elect officials to all positions, even when some candidates do not necessarily have the required qualifications to take on the responsibilities of the position. While we understand NMO's desire to make sure that all positions are filled, sometimes a vacant position is not the worst option to consider. We would like to remind NMOs of the right to vote against candidates that they do not deem fit for the position. A vacant position leaves the EB and TO with the opportunity to either redistribute tasks or to appoint a qualified interim applicant. We encourage NMOs to take their time when voting for candidates and only consider candidates' fitness for the office when making decisions. This choice will directly affect the experience of 1.5 million medical students whose voices are you representing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, IFMSA Supervising Council. Before we officially adjourn the plenary, I would like to remind you that we'll take a break for 30 minutes. After we're back from the break, each NMO will have only one representative on the table. The rest of the representatives will be at the back of the room. We will try to take the chairs as far as we can so that you are able to cast your votes privately and without compromising the integrity of the elections. If you're worried that there is someone who's able to see your laptop, then I highly advise you to decrease the brightness of your laptop, because that is a very effective method to ensure that no one is able to see. I am still speaking, so please wait. The team of officials and everyone here will be asked to also go to the back, again, just so that we can protect the integrity of the elections. The plenary secretary, who's also running for a TO position, will leave the stage until the end of the agenda point, until the end of the elections specifically. The slides will only be accessed by myself, the vice chairperson, the CCC, and a few secretary assistants who do not have any members from their NMOs candidating for TO positions. NEMO vote will only be accessed by the vice chairperson and one member from the CCC to ensure that there is no leak before the actual elections. We'll try to take things as slowly as possible so that everyone understands what we're voting on. These are all very big decisions, and as I mentioned multiple times, one thing that I refuse to compromise is the quality of decision making. If you have any questions, if you're unsure about something, please do let me know before. We have 30 minutes, that's plenty of time to answer questions. We'll have a list, like a speakers list at the beginning of Plenary 5, as requested by multiple NMOs. If you're doing the same statements or if it covers the same content, it would be great if you can do them together. It is your prerogative to give statements. I am in no position to tell you what to say or not, but just as a suggestion, because there are some candidates who are eagerly waiting for the results of the work they've put into their candidatures for almost 1 month. That would be it, and Plenary 5 is officially adjourned at 11:30. Sorry, thank you very much again. Plenary 4 is officially adjourned at 11:35.